So the first thing I do when I'm walking into a brand new networking event, especially something that is that big, is I scan the room for what I call friendly faces. What is a friendly face? A friendly face is somebody that I know, somebody they like, somebody I've connected with before that is at the venue. Hey there, it's me, Stefan Burchard, the Bowtie Coach, with your latest episode of the Networking Made Simple podcast. Networking Made Simple is an exploration of networking and social business connections for entrepreneurs, especially for introverted entrepreneurs like me. This podcast, I want to share with you about practical tips for networking. So, no surprise, I'm a network. I'm an introvert. If you're listening to this podcast, most likely you're an introverted entrepreneur as well, or just an introvert. But these tips don't matter whether you're an introvert or not, but they're definitely geared towards the introvert. So really, I just have three main tips. So the first one is don't freak out. We all are nervous when it comes to networking. Networking is not one of those things that some of us cherish. I know for myself as an introvert, after so many events, meetings, or whatever in a day, I've had my fill. I'm like, done, gotta go home, chill, meditate, read, just do whatever I need to do in my quiet alone space. So that's my first tip, is to make sure you are in a good mental space. So whatever you do to prep that mental space, whether it's reading or meditating or listening to jamming music while you're on your way to an event, whatever sets your mindset up for feeling good, that's the first important thing to do, is mindset. Like I say, mindset matters most. So the reason I say don't freak out is there's a lot of us that freak out. I know, I'm one of them. I walk into a venue. I remember walking into this one event. There were over 100 people there. It's a monthly luncheon that they do, and it is very popular. So I walk in the door, and oh my God, there's over 100 people. My first instinct was to turn around and bolt, because I was like, oh my God, this is really uncomfortable. However, now I'm going to transfer over to tip 2, or tease tip 2. So those butterflies were there. I was nervous. Felt insecure. And like I said, I wanted to run. But tip number 2 is to start small. Okay? What do I mean by that? Well, obviously walking into an event of 120 people is hardly starting small. But the way I look at boy, I must have had one too many cups of coffee today. The way I look at starting small is how many people I'm engaging with, not the entire room of 100 people. There's no way you can engage with 100 people around the room. So the first thing I do when I'm walking into a brand new networking event, especially something that is that big, is I scan the room for what I call friendly faces. What is a friendly face? A friendly face is somebody that I know, somebody they like, somebody I've connected with before that is at the venue. Of course, always say hello and thank you to the hosts. But then I zero in on who do I know, because that helps calm down that nervous part, that nervous energy. So I approach people that I know and that I like, and I might either give them a handshake or I might give them a hug. It all just depends on the relationship. So if it's, just a really close relationship, then I will maybe hug them, maybe not. Depends on how huggy I feel. And if it's just a business or a casual business relationship, then I will simply shake hands, lock eyes. How are you doing? And then that calms down that part of me, and possibly you, that is nervous, and does not want to be in that room no matter what. So those are 2 really, really good tips. So what do I do next? Well, that person may be already talking to somebody. So you're not really interrupting. You're at a networking event, and the whole point is for us to all meet each other and to meet new people and to make new connections. So you're not completely interrupting a conversation unless they are like really heavy into a conversation. And sometimes it's kind of hard to tell. I always tell people, if you need to have a conversation that you don't want to be interrupted in a networking meeting, take it off to the side. Don't have it in the middle of the room, where I call it the arena. don't have it in the middle of the arena where everybody sees you having this conversation. Because in my opinion, that's just open game. So it is a good opportunity to go up. Hey, Joe, how you doing? How's business? Oh, I'm Stefan Burchard. How are you? And then you introduce each other, etc. So are you feeling overwhelmed lately, frazzled and unproductive? Well, you're not alone. This is where coaching can come into play. As your Bowtie coach, I specialize in helping introverted entrepreneurs navigate these waters. Together, we can tailor a self-care and business strategy that fits your unique personality and business goals, ensuring you don't just survive, but thrive. Click the link below to get a discovery call time with me, and let's explore together. Bye. One of my other tips, I said I'd do 3. I'm actually going to cheat and give you 4 today. So the third one is to ask good questions. So have a couple questions already lined up in your head, in your mind. What are you going to ask? So for me, it's boring to ask people about what you do and blah, 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 and how's the weather. That's all just hooey. It's not really information that's going to get you engaged with that person and whether or not it's somebody you want to follow back up with and get to know, like, and trust more. So I have questions to ask people like, hey, what do you love the most about your business? How did you get into what you do? What's some other things? What do you like least about your business? But I try to stray away from anything negative, and that's kind of a negative question. So, and then one of the other ones is how do you start your day? How do you end your day? Interestingly enough, these are questions I ask in my podcast interviews. Ha ha ha. But anyway, my favorite one is, what's your favorite thing about your business or your business line or your business? Or how did you get into business, and what led you to that place? That's an origin story. Everybody loves stories, and people love to give stories. So by asking questions, we're actually dovetailing on something very important, which is people love to talk about themselves. So if you just simply introduce yourself and talk about the weather, guess what? They're not talking about themselves. So how do you get people to talk about themselves? You ask good questions. You ask what's called probing questions. Asking someone, what do you love about your business? That's a probing question. They might say something that they love about their business, and you want to take that concept a little deeper. So you ask a follow-up question. Since I don't know what the response is, I can't fake it and tell you another follow-up response. But if somebody just says something silly like, oh, well, I love being self-employed, and this allows me to be self-employed. Okay, great. That's wonderful. And what about your specific tasks in your business, your day-to-day operations light you up? What has you love it so much? So that's another way to get into there. Ask the same question at a different angle, because sometimes people avoid answering these questions. Like us introverts, one of my pet peeves with myself is I'll just say, oh, I'm fine. Everything's good. Business is decent. That's all a bunch of hooey. That's not really getting intimate. That's not really getting down to the meat of the matter. The other tip I have, and it goes right along with this question, ask good questions, is listen. Shut the F up and listen to what they have to say. Because everything that's going to come out of their mouth is going to be important information if you want to have a follow-up conversation with them. Don't listen for responding, which a lot of people do, myself included, where you're listening to somebody speak and you're just thinking about something else. You're thinking about, what are you going to ask next, or what is your response to that? Everybody wants to do a Me Too share. That's what I call it, when you ask somebody what they love about their business and then you suddenly start sharing about what you love about your business. People will love us and like us more if we get them to talk about themselves. I remember this one time I think it was a one-to-one. So I took somebody out for coffee, and we met together and we had coffee. This person talked for the entire 30 minutes about themselves. I didn't even have to ask a question. It just oozed out of them like diarrhea of the mouth. And they just went on and on and on and talked and talked and talked. I might have asked a few questions here and there, but honestly, we're supposed to be getting to know each other. So I was wanting to talk at least a little teeny weeny bit about myself, but I never got a word in edgewise with this person. So I thought it was basically, a lost cause, no big deal, no harm, no foul, lesson learned. This person's a blabbermouth. But then the next week, there was a testimonial section where we actually get to talk about what we love about somebody else or what we appreciate about them. And this person pipes in and says, "Oh, Stefan is just the most wonderful guy in the world," and blah, blah. Just talked me up. And I was just kind of smiling and giggling to myself because it's like, I didn't share anything about myself beyond Stefan and my business line and how we know each other. And that was it. That was the extent of what I shared with this person. But they talked the entire 30 minutes about themselves, and they said, "Stefan is just the best thing since sliced bread." So it goes to show you that that adage is true, that if you want somebody to like you, ask good questions and get them to talk about themselves. So that's my tips, my quick tips for the day, which is don't freak out, ask good questions, and listen. And that's it for today. Thanks for being here today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please click the like and share this with a friend who you think might enjoy this podcast. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye.